Welcome to the Solid Verbal. And now, Dan and Ty.
Dan Rubenstein, I want you to follow after me here.
Okay. You want me to repeat what you say or just pay attention?
I want you to hold up 3 fingers.
Okay, there it is, 3.
This is ACC Part 3, baby.
Yes, sir.
Made it the full way through. Go back, listen to the last 2 episodes. We did there you go, you're holding it up.
3 goggles. Yeah, of course.
Beautiful. We did an ACC overview where we talked through what our tiers look like. Last episode, we covered the top of the conference, the bottom of the conference, at least according to us. This episode is the one, actually, that I'm most excited about, though, because this one is going to be what we call the meaty middle, what I am calling, broadly speaking, the wild card tier. Got a bunch of wild cards in this ACC conference, man. I got 9 of them on my list. We're going to go through all of them today. We're going to give you the same level of detail we did in the last episode. There is a lot to be said about these 9 teams today. I'm excited to share the microphone with you again, my friend. Welcome back.
Thank you for having me. Have you watched youth soccer before? I'm sure you have.
Yes, it's a swarm of bees chasing a ball.
Well, what better analogy is there for the perceived non-contenders, but still pretty good teams of the ACC than a bunch of teams in an unintelligible scrum, kicking each other's shins until the ball squirts out and somebody breaks for the goal, hopefully the right goal, in the case of 5-year-olds playing soccer. That's what this is. I am extremely excited to see whose shins get kicked in and cries, and who runs and scores a goal where there's no goalie and feels great about themselves. It's great. Hey, real quick, it'd be great if you could consider subscribing to the YouTube channel down below. It really helps us out.
Well, welcome back to you, trusted Verballer. We appreciate you stopping on by. Hit follow, hit subscribe if you're new here so that you don't miss any of our episodes. Again, I will repeat this now for like the umpteenth time. 3 episodes a week, Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday. We've done it that way for an eternity. We're going to continue doing it that way all throughout the preview season, the preseason, as we get through the regular season and the postseason as well. So a lot to come. This is really just the start, the tip of the iceberg here as we get rolling in advance of the 2025 season. Of course, verballers.com, VERBALLERS.com. That's where you can go if you want to further support what Dan and I do. That's our Patreon where you get
the best way you can support
the best way, absolutely.
Keep the lights on, yeah.
Ad-free episodes, bonus content. You get these episodes a little bit early, Discord access. I'm actually going to be flipping over the Patreon tiers here. I may have already flipped over those Patreon tiers by the time some of you listen to this.
Nice.
So we're starting to get into season mode here across the board. We're going to have a big old game. We're working on other games. A lot of stuff happening at verballers.com. So even if you don't want to pay for it, just go on out there, sign up as a free member. On occasion, we throw you a few bones here and there.
Look around. Make yourself at home.
Check it out.
Yeah.
Check it out. All right, so you held up the 3 fingers. Let me talk through the 9 fingers on this wild card hand, okay?
I'm ready.
We got the Duke Blue Devils, Virginia Tech Hokies, Florida State Seminoles, North Carolina Belichicks. We've got the Syracuse Orange, NC State Wolfpack, BC Eagles, California Golden Bears, and last but certainly not least, the Virginia Commodores. Dan, all right. What do we got? Where do we want to start?
Let's start NC State.
Yeah?
For some reason, that felt real to me. Okay.
Yeah. Did I call Virginia the Commodores, by the way? I believe I meant Cavaliers.
No, hold on. Maybe you were thinking about the Commonwealth Cup or the Commonwealth of Virginia.
It's been a day already. It's been a day. It's been a day. That's probably not going to bode well with the Virginia people out there, but I'm going to leave it in the show because this is a show about honesty. Now,
can't wait.
Where do you want to start?
Still NC State.
NC State.
Yes.
New defense, new offense.
Yeah.
Kurt Roper's back, so I guess not entirely new. He was on the staff. He was coaching CJ Bailey.
Yeah, internal.
Got a backloaded schedule. When we went through our first episode here, putting these teams in tiers, you and I were a bit mixed on where we stood on NC State. Where do you stand on NC State? What are the things that jump out to you? Why do you think they'll be good? Why do you think they won't be good?
I think they can win 50-50 games if offensively it works out with the experience they have on offense, at receiver, at quarterback, obviously. We'll see on the offensive line. But if your starting point is promising quarterback who has promising targets, I already like you. The problem to me with NC State is what you just mentioned, right? That the variables involved with NC State with 2 coordinators who I don't think I would be if they were coordinating Oregon, I would not be thrilled with Oregon's chances to make serious noise in the conference. I don't know how you would feel if Kurt Roper and DJ Elliott were coordinating one of your teams' side of the ball, but it doesn't feel great to me. That said, NC State's schedule is really tough. It's a pretty tough schedule, which to me indicates two things. The best of NC State is going to change the calculus of the ACC because they're going to be playing a bunch of really good teams. I think they have Notre Dame on the road. They have, I think, Miami, yes. NC State, right?
Yeah.
NC State has Pitt on the road, your number 2 team. They've got Florida State. Who knows what that game is going to mean? Obviously, the rivalry game against North Carolina, whatever they are. I have high hopes for Duke. That game is on the road for NC State. So they have the ability, if they're good or at least dangerous at something, to pretty dramatically affect how this conference shapes out. And I don't think it's necessarily fair or nice to only categorize NC State as an effector of the better, but that's still interesting to me. I'm still interested in what this offense looks like. There are still pieces on this defense, though I'm just not super high on NC State in this moment because of the number of changes and because of what seems to be the trajectory of this program these last couple of years.
Yeah, and I was thinking about that when I was going through with my research here, and I was thinking back to the episode that we did before last season with Corey Smith from Pack Pride.
Right.
And we were wondering a year ago if last season was going to be the year for NC State. Now, it didn't pan out for a multitude of reasons. Remember, they brought in Grayson McCall. He got hurt. 2 concussions in like a 6-week period, ended up retiring.
Just unfortunate year, yeah.
So that was a bad deal. I am leery about Dave Doeren bringing in 2 new veteran coordinators at this point. He got rid of Robert and I on the offense. I understand it. Tony Gibson left. He's the new head coach at Marshall. It's just a lot to fix,
Right.
And I'm always leery about those types of situations. Now, Kurt Roper's a name that college football fans are familiar with, but it's been 8 years since he called an offense. Was the quarterback coach for C.J. Bailey. I think that's why he has been elevated to this position. I like C.J. Bailey. I think the biggest job for Kurt Roper, for Dave Doeren, really for this program as a whole, if they want to get better, is to make sure that they don't stunt his development.
Right.
So I think that's at least a building block for Dave Doeren moving forward. You mentioned the coordinator hire on the other side of the ball, DJ Elliott. You might be surprised to hear this, Dan.
I'm ready.
It sounds like he's planning to run an aggressive attacking pressure-based scheme that sort of blends a 3-3-5 with the 3-4.
Okay. Again, I have nothing against that.
Wants that
inherently.
stand-up edge rusher to really be attacking and aggressive. You know what I mean?
I do know exactly what you mean. Last year's pass rush was very bad.
It was bad. So, my standpoint is this. The over-under is 6.5 wins. I think C.J. Bailey's really good. I think they'd be wise to build around him. It was an absolute dagger that they lost Casey Concepcion, my guy.
But his year wasn't great.
His year wasn't great.
It was kind of disappointing, yeah.
His year wasn't great, but he's still an elite talent. He goes
Sure.
to Texas A&M. It's going to take some combination of other guys. Like a guy Hollywood Smothers, great name, Justin Jolly, Noah Rogers, Wesley Grind. There are guys here, but the one that I feel best about is probably C.J. Bailey. I think what I'm most interested in is what the defense looks like, honestly. And I joke about the pressure-based defense, the attacking, aggressive, that whole meme.
Right.
They can be a lot of fun to watch, but you need a secondary. And NC State kind of took it on the chin in the back 7. Most of their starters portaled out. So it's a collection of transfers and, it's just, I kind of like what I said with Miami. If you're focused on getting pressure up front, you need to have some depth to rotate new guys in to keep people fresh, but you also need to have the secondary. And I'm not sure they have either of them. So backloaded schedule, they got to figure it out early. You think Dave Doeren can get to 7 or 8 wins and hit that over? 2 new schemes, a schedule, mounting pressure to take a step forward. I tend to give him benefit of the doubt because I think he's a good coach, but I'm a little bit fearful that maybe this program has stalled out.
Can I be sort of mean about small school transfers?
Please.
NC State just doesn't seem like that program. I know it's a new era of college football. This is me from afar saying, given their location, given their history, given the guys they've sent to the NFL draft, that they're in a place where they are bringing in transfers from Wyoming, Utah State, North Texas, and Temple, it doesn't make me feel incredible that this defense under a new coordinator as well is all of a sudden against a conference with a bunch of good quarterbacks and a bunch of promising offenses is going to improve all that much. They were, I have it down here, in the 90s in points per drive allowed. When they gave up big runs, they gave up huge runs. They were one of the worst teams in America that when somebody would get a little bit loose, get through the line of scrimmage, that was kind of it.
No.
And so, again, all 4 of those players coming in from those schools might be incredible additions and improvements over where NC State was last year. I just don't love that NC State is at that point where it's either these guys all work out or it's not going to be great again on defense.
Yeah, the new meme that I am workshopping for possible inclusion in a Fantasy Things roster, regardless of whether or not we do that show.
Yeah.
It's this tendency of every preview to lean a little too hard on the coach talking about how he likes his talent.
Sure.
They never say they hate it. They always love it. And
yeah, you got to say that. Yeah.
Of course, I understand it. But when the previews lean on that and just assume that we should take the coach's word for it, that's when the BS meter goes off for me. And I feel that way a lot with these small school transfers. We've seen a lot of them hit. But we've also seen a lot of them not hit. So just proceed with caution here, okay?
By the way, so there was the fight with ECU in the bowl game last year, right?
Correct.
With whom do they open the season? ECU.
Let's go, baby.
I don't know what that means. They lost that game to ECU, by the way, December 28th.
Yeah. ECU should have a good offense.
I don't have ECU thoughts at the front of my brain right now. But schedule-wise, there's not a lot of odd, like they're going to need to win a bunch of 35-32s. Yeah. And that's not a recipe for confidence in this moment. So it's ECU, Virginia, Wake on the road, and Duke on the road. They could start the season 1-3, 2-2. Right there.
Yeah.
They have Virginia Tech and Notre Dame 2 out of 3 weeks in the middle of that schedule. At Pitt, Georgia Tech, a bye week. At Miami, Florida State, North Carolina.
It's a rough schedule, man. It's rough. I got to be
just with that number of questions in that schedule, seeing them go 8-4 would be like an incredible year.
Yeah, I got 6-6.
Yeah, I think 6-6 is more appropriate myself.
Let's stay in the state of North Carolina. Let's go to North Carolina Tar Heels.
Please.
6-7 a year ago, they lost to James Madison. They lost at Duke, to Pitt, to Georgia Tech. Actually, they lost 4 in a row.
Yeah.
Then they lost Boston College, NC State, UConn in the bowl game, 3 in a row to end the season. So it was 2 spurts of losses for North Carolina. They made big waves. They made the big story of the offseason by going out and hiring Bill Belichick.
Okay.
I can't remember at this point if we did an emergency episode for it. I kind of think we did.
We may have done a stream. I don't know if it was a full episode. Yeah.
I don't remember at this point, but even without the added layer of Jordan Hudson.
Who?
You know who I mean, Jordan Hudson.
Who's Jordan? New slot receiver?
About this.
Okay.
Even without Jordan Hudson and her connection to the coach and the program and whatever oddities that has brought about, this would easily be a top 3 story headed back into the new season. This is... Ooh, yeah! Thank you, James.
Yep.
This is either going to be a spectacular success or a very messy breakup.
You don't think there's any chance it's just kind of boring?
I think he's kind of boring.
No. But like, you don't think they're like, well, they went 8-4. They lost to the better teams. They beat some of the teams right around their area of the ACC. And,
I think that's likely this year. But I'm saying bigger picture.
Long term. Okay.
Bigger picture of the situation with him taking that job. He's either going to go on a tear and be great at it, or it's going to get real weird as he tries to leave. One or the other.
Yeah.
So I've got 2 burning questions for you with respect to North Carolina.
Okay.
And the first is...
Here, I'll answer them before you even ask. I don't know. Continue.
Well, I think that's the right answer. My first question is North Carolina actually wild card? Because...
I don't know.
Yeah, nobody seems to have a clue what this is going to look like. And it doesn't matter whether you're talking about the product on the field or like the nuts and bolts behind the scenes on an administrative level. We did that episode a few months back with Michael Felder, which was almost unfair to him at the time because we were asking about specifics and what's it feel like. Nobody has them. There are 51 guys who transferred out, 41 that came in. I hope the Verballer Hood can forgive me if I don't go into my normal level of specificity here, but there is so much turnover and so much different. I have no idea, Dan, how the hell to handicap this thing.
Big picture, I think there's a lot working against him. Schedule-wise, it's a pretty incredible schedule.
Schedule's
right?
fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
So my concern would be a little bit more abstract that and this is much more about Belichick specifically, not what this roster does or doesn't have, but because the roster, like many first-year coaches, is thrown together with transfers from a bunch of different schools. The challenge for any coach put in this position, let alone one who hasn't coached in college, basically, is can he bring everybody together? Can he keep everybody excited and energized and galvanized to go beat whoever they have on their schedule this week? How is he at navigating, a kid wants to transfer 3 weeks in? Is he going to lower himself to beg him to stay, right? In that instance, I doubt it. But what are his emotional abilities in terms of keeping this program together, in good times and bad? What is he like? Game planning, for schools week in and week out, he's game planning against much, much better football teams, but it was with grown men
with better
doing
talent,
their jobs.
with Tom freaking Brady, right?
Right, exactly. And so you can see how it can go wrong. It's hard for me to imagine that it's going to go right when the talent level isn't near the top of the conference. It appears in this moment.
Yeah.
So my answer is I'm very curious to see what happens. I'm very curious to see who does or doesn't develop under Bill Belichick and the many Belichicks involved in this program.
At least 3. There is a minimum of 3 Belichicks involved in this project.
And I don't know. It's more curiosity than strong feelings about this North Carolina team because we don't have a great concept of what kinds of systems. He was famous for fully changing the system and game plan every week in the NFL. You're not going to be able to do that in college with the limited amount of practice time and the limited malleability of random college linebackers. So, curious, have no concept. We'll need to see a few weeks first before I can feel anything about North Carolina football. But yes, it'd be unfair because of his reputation and his past to put them anywhere else but the middle. But we'll see how talent acquisition goes, and that won't affect things from this point moving forward this season. But, man, it's going to be wild.
It is, and the second burning question actually is one that we may get something of an answer to. We don't know it now. We can just make an assumption now. But 3/4 of the way through the season, I think we'll have a better sense for the raw power of the coaching genius of Bill Belichick. Arguably the greatest coach of all time at the NFL level.
Right.
Hasn't coached in college. I think it's fair to assume that he'll be able to put a defense together. I can talk about that in a second. But
I mean, you just need dudes, though. That's the problem.
But you need
and
dudes.
They lost their better dudes on defense to the portal.
You need dudes. If he is the coaching genius that he has been sold to us as, I think we should see some of that on display. It doesn't mean they're going 9-3. But we should see that even with a ton new on defense, they still find a way to put together a pretty good unit out there. Just my opinion.
Well, look, I mean, the easiest thing you can do is look at quarterbacks that they will face, especially in the ACC. So it's Clemson, Cal, so Cade Klubnik and I guess Devin Brown, Chandler Morris at Virginia, Steve Angeli at Syracuse, who knows at Stanford, who knows at Wake. I mean, Robbie Ashford, good one in Darian Mensah, probably pretty good or good in CJ Bailey. There's exactly one quarterback on this schedule. Who is it? TCU, Josh Hoover? Is that who's TCU?
And that's the first week of the season.
And that's first week of the season, but it's at home. Like the quarterbacks faced are not, there's not a row of killers here. Or even wounders.
And listen, they don't play Miami. They don't play SMU. They don't play Louisville. They don't play Georgia Tech. They don't play Florida State. They don't play Pitt.
Right.
So to your point, the schedule is great. I would be surprised if this team gave up, if they gave up as many big plays as they did a year ago. I think we'll see improvement on defense. I think that's his calling card, especially through the air. despite the fact that they actually had a pretty good pass rush last year, they gave up so many big plays. A lot new here, but it looks to me like the nucleus of the defense in terms of experience is definitely in the back seven. That would be nice. I think Belichick can work with that. So I'm optimistic on that side of the ball. I'm intrigued by offense because they're bringing in starters from other teams. And the line,
Nebraska,
the line's a really good example. If you factor in the transfers, it's actually a pretty experienced group. They just haven't played together at all.
Right.
Then you got a guy, Gio Lopez, the quarterback from South Alabama, who figures to be the starter. He's much more of a dual threat guy than we've seen recently at North Carolina. I think the offense has to take a bit of a step back, especially since Amari and Hampton went to the NFL. But I do think there's plenty of optimism there around Gio. A lot of people wanted Gio.
Sure.
So again, it's just, we're basically talking about something we have no business talking about because nobody does. It's all assumption. It's all a wink and a nod. And I think just this prevailing spirit of, or prevailing idea of Bill Belichick coaching something without actually knowing what he's coaching yet.
That quarterback job is still open, by the way, right?
It's still
Max
open.
Johnson and
it's still
Gio
open.
Lopez competing. Yeah.
I think it's going to be Gio, but Max is still there. Yeah.
Yep.
So we'll see. Listen, I wish I could be more specific. I wish I had a hotter take. I wish I had any take.
No, I hear you.
I don't know what to do with this.
I mean, Steve Belichick, that's the defensive coordinator, right?
Great hair.
Well, we can talk about that.
Long hair.
I want to say they stopped big plays, Washington, last year, and they did a pretty good job, and I don't have the list of quarterbacks in front of me. I feel like they did a pretty good job against the pass, the pass in the past.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. We'll see, because that was another sort of rebuild very quickly at Washington last year with Jed Fish. But that schedule's great. They should be bowling this year.
Over under is 7.5, Dan, for what it's worth to you. So look, let me move on to Duke. Let's stay in the great state of North Carolina. Duke's over under is 6.5 this year. They went 9-4 last year in Manny Diaz's first year. This is where I think the context is really important. Because remember, Mike Elko left before last season. Riley Leonard left before last season. They took on heavy losses across the board. And I remember doing this preview. I think I look back at my notes here when I was jotting this stuff down. I think I had them pegged for like a rebuilding year last season. I had them under 5.5. I was very pessimistic on Duke.
And you went to a Duke game.
And I went to a Duke game.
Yeah.
We were there at the portable stadium out at Northwestern.
Yeah.
So that said, it's kind of like an all-time zag for Duke to win 9 games in a coach's first season. And now for them to randomly drop a big old bag of cash to bring in one of the top transfer quarterbacks this cycle in Darian Mensah.
And they're, by the way, a gust of wind away from beating a team, a gust of wind away from the championship in SMU. Multiple overtimes. Yeah.
You and I had a conversation, and I referenced this on one of our previous 2 episodes. When we were putting all this together, we had a moment of pause when we were on the phone chatting this through. And we came to the conclusion at the same time that, wow, Duke might be like the most reliable team in this whole wild card tier. That's not to say they're going 9-3.
Right.
But in terms of what they have and what we think we can count on, what we think we know we're going to get, Duke feels pretty solid. And that's really uncommon ground for the Duke Blue Devils.
Yeah. I think the word I was going to use was like dependable, or just like most drama free, it seems, because as many players as like Clemson returns, there's immense pressure on Clemson to win this conference this year with what they're returning. There's zero pressure on Duke. There's basically no pressure on Duke ever, though they are spending more. So with that kind of spending, you want to see a return on that. Business mind over here, Dan Rubenstein. That's what people like when they spend money. They like goods and services for their money.
No, of course.
So, yeah, I just think there's basically no pressure on Duke beyond like Darian Mensah should give Duke boosters what they paid for and be a good quarterback for Duke. But the defense should be good. The offensive line was pretty horrendous last year, opening up lanes for the running game. The running game in general was terrible. They should be better. There's a lot of experience coming back. I don't know what that means. They could just merely be below average. But if your starting point, once again, is quality defense, especially up front, and quality quarterback, and the schedule to me is not, maybe I'm misremembering, but it doesn't seem crazy brutal.
It's not crazy brutal, but it's harder than it was a year ago.
Sure.
It's harder than it was a year ago. And even though Duke won 9 games last year, it's not like they were blowing teams out. They beat one team with a winning record, which was UConn. They won 6 one-score games.
Right.
There's a world in which this year's schedule features 10 bowl teams.
Yeah, the non-conference portion is definitely tough.
This has the hallmark to me of a team that's better, but has a worse record as a result of the schedule.
Okay.
But look,
7-5 with the bowl win.
something like that. But listen, again, you got to be thrilled with what they did in year one. It was like Havoc City down there in Durham. 43 sacks, 116 tackles for loss. It should be no surprise to learn that Manny Diaz also runs an aggressive attacking defense, Dan.
Of course. But like unpredictable and fun. Do Penn State people like Manny Diaz more than they like Tom Allen?
Ah, you're kidding me.
Okay, just making sure. I don't know.
Don't even tease me with that.
Yeah.
7 starters back this year with reinforcements coming via the portal. I think the defense is in a good situation. And look, Darian Metza, I think, is an upgrade over Malik Murphy. For as much as I liked Malik Murphy before he came to Duke, I think Metza's an upgrade. I think he makes them more explosive.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who's going to step up out wide. I don't know who he's throwing to. Is it Andrell Anthony? Is he going to be the guy who steps up from Oklahoma?
I think he's fine if he's healthy, yeah.
You know, is the defense able to lead the way enough while the offense figures out who its playmakers are in addition to Mensa? You know, I like Jaquez Moore. I like their true freshman, Nate Shepard. I think they have pieces here, but it's just, I think it's going to be a little bit of a work in progress on offense, and we're just going to have to see how the defense holds up against what amounts to, I think, a better schedule.
So it's a more difficult schedule, and what they were able to do last year was go 9-4, once again, 9-4,
Yep.
with basically no offense.
Yeah.
This was a sub-100 national offense. So if, again, they're merely average or a little bit below average, and the defense is right around where it was last year because they do return, as you mentioned, key pieces, I don't know. I think they're pretty good. I think they have a really good shot at winning a bunch of games. I don't know, what are the home road splits? Do they have tough road stuff? It's at Tulane, at Syracuse, which is going to be tricky, at Cal. It's across the country. So at Syracuse, at Cal, by the way. That's a nice little 1-2 travel monster.
Yep.
They get Georgia Tech at home after a bye. They get Clemson. It's a mutual bye. And then finish with UConn, Virginia, North Carolina, Wake. That's pretty good.
Again, still harder than last year.
Harder than last year.
But not terrible. All things considered, not terrible. By the way, the week 2 game against Illinois.
Huge.
It's a bigger game than I think a lot of people realize. That's a big game for Illinois.
I mean, Illinois is going to be what, top 15-ish?
That's a big game, Dan. Don't sleep on that game. I'm going to put that one on our Run the Board game.
You know what that is? Duke, Illinois. It's the team that got John Shire versus the team that is still heartbroken about not getting John Shire.
The Shire Bowl. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
And Shire's not only still a Duke person, he's the coach of the Duke basketball team.
He's the coach of the Duke team now, yeah.
He's incredibly Dukey.
All right.
All right, next.
Let's talk Virginia Tech.
Okay.
I think Virginia Tech's flying under the radar this year.
Okay, break it down for me.
I think they're flying under the radar. I think they need to be healthy or stay healthy. I think they need to be more consistent.
Hold on, football team should stay healthy.
I think the schedule is backloaded into November. This is truly a team we may not know who they are until December, Dan. You know.
Okay, good.
You know I love that saying.
We won't really know who they are until December.
Yeah.
Ty Hildebrandt swinging in with the insight bombs.
This was the 6-7 team a year ago. They lost to Syracuse in overtime, Miami on a controversial, overturned Hail Mary thing.
Yep. Nobody could see anything, but a ruling was made regardless. Yeah.
They lost to Clemson, a couple others. 5 of their 6 losses were by 1 score. So they were in it, and frustratingly so. I think amid all the talk in the ACC about Clemson being back, Carson Beck going to Miami, Bill Belichick going to North Carolina, not a lot of people talking about Tech this year. Last year, I think, was a little bit underwhelming. I think that's putting it mildly. But when you've got close losses like that, when you've got a guy like Kyron Drones, who clearly has a lot of talent but was beat up, context, again, is important. It wasn't a horrible team, but they were inconsistent, and I think there were extenuating circumstances. So what are they at now? Brent Pry's got 2 new coordinators. 2 new coordinators with 2 new schemes to try and fix the glitch. And the big question for me is, can they do it? Can they do it? The biggest source of inconsistency on this team last year was the offense. There were 3 and out, 1 of every 3 possessions. By the way, that's a lot. FYI. It didn't help that Drones was banged up. We saw a little Colin Schley, some Pop Watson, great name.
Mm-hmm.
Now this year we've got Philip Montgomery, who's the new offensive coordinator. So I think he's got pieces to work with, Dan. I think Drones is going to be healthy. I really like they got Terry and Stewart, the running back from Bowling Green. That dude's a bowling ball with eyes, man. I like him.
Mm-hmm.
And I like Aiden Green out wide. I think he could grow into a true wide receiver 1. We saw him pop in the bowl game a little bit. I'm interested to see if they steer more into their running game. I'm not sure what their line's going to look like, but that to me is what I'm watching from an offensive standpoint. I like some of the transfers they brought in. It's going to be an entirely new line up front. So that's probably the missing piece right now as we do this in mid-July. But ultimately the key is, can they find a way to get Kyron Drones to be a little bit more consistent, who everybody knows and loves at this point? You just need him to be more reliable.
But was pretty inconsistent last year, beat up last year.
Yeah. I mean, he's got a big arm. He really does. They just need to find a way to create more of a vertical threat with him on the field. It wasn't full on pickleball last year, Dan, but it also wasn't not pickleball.
Right.
With a lot
and
of
by
short
that,
passes.
for our new listeners, what is pickleball?
Pickleball is when everything is within 5 to, let's say, 7 yards of the line of scrimmage.
Building the whole plane out of dink and dunk. Yeah.
And there was a lot behind the line of scrimmage last year. So they got to hopefully get past that and hopefully build more of a vertical threat. Another point of intrigue for me is the new defense coordinator, Sam Sifkas.
Okay.
He is 33. He's been a DC at Wofford. He coached in the NFL for the Vikings and the Cardinals as a linebacker coach. You might be surprised to learn that he wants to run more of an aggressive attacking defense, Dan.
Yeah. Always surprising. You might also be surprised to learn that it's another coordinator who Ty is at least 10 years older than.
Thank you, Dan. Appreciate that.
I'm not talking about this.
I want to give a shout out to the Key Play, a great website that
did
a full breakdown of what the Sam Sifkas defensive scheme might look like, from a 3-man front, which he likes, to maybe using 3 high safeties, kind of the way that Ohio State did with Caleb Downs. And shout out to those guys for giving us a clue as to what to expect. I don't know what to make of this, okay? I really don't. I think the schedule is going to be in November to remember. They open the year against South Carolina, which is obviously a great game.
Mm-hmm.
I generally like Virginia Tech, and I like them to hit that over 6.5.
Okay.
Even though there's a lot new, I think you could probably make the case that this is Brent Pry's best team since he got to Blacksburg. And there's a good chance to go 5-1 to start. And if that's the case, they just got to pick up 2 the rest of the way to hit that over. I think the ceiling's 8-4, but I feel good about them going over 6.5.
Okay. So if you are looking at Virginia Tech as a team with questions, but you like the talent on both sides of the ball, 2 new coordinators, I guess my big question is, when you look at Virginia Tech's 2024, you're looking at a team who, again, another team that is sort of a reverse Duke, which, by the way, don't do a reverse Duke before you stretch.
No, never.
It's for the best. They lost every game they lost pretty much by like 3 points in the last 2 minutes.
Yep.
So what does this team look like in the fourth quarter? Because of the winnable games against, take your pick, Rutgers or Miami or Vanderbilt or Duke or any, like, this is not a team who was winning any of these 50-50 games.
No.
So I don't know what that says about Brent Pry. I don't know what that says about Kyron Drones late in games, or how the offense was called last year, or how, what kind of fitness and stamina this team had in the fourth quarter. How do you finish, Virginia Tech?
Yeah.
Because, again, you're 4 game minutes away from being like 9-3, 10-2.
Yeah, I mean, not to give the game away too much.
Yeah.
As you know, the Big 12 is coming up next. We've talked about that.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing a little bit of research earlier today on Scott Satterfield, and it's not exactly the same situation, granted, but there's enough there of Cincinnati feeling like they were close in spots, but then petering out. And you have to ask, is it a culture thing? Is it a discipline thing? And furthermore, is it the kind of thing that you could fix in an off season?
Right.
And I don't know the answer to that. The answer is different for everybody. I like Brent Pry as a coach. I think he is very on brand for Blacksburg, Virginia. But I want to like this team more than I do, and I already like them more than I expected.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, Brent Pry had them in a position. They were an 8-4 team that went 6-6 last year. They didn't do anything horrifically bad.
No.
They had an average offense and a pretty good defense, and they lost a bunch of tiny games late. And so I generally put that on Brent Pry. For your consideration on any podcast player, search Solid Verbal, find us, and hit follow or subscribe. It's just that easy.
Florida State's over-under is 6.5 this year, Dan.
Okay.
Last year, they almost made it to 2.5. A 2-10 season. They lost to Georgia Tech over in Ireland to open the year. Then they went on to lose 9 more games. They only beat Cal, which they did by 5 points at home, and Charleston Southern. So, yeah, a bit of a black eye, especially a year after they went 13-1 and won the ACC. I think it goes without saying, you do not need a PhD in college football to know that Mike Norvell is on the hot seat after that. And so that's why we saw some big major changes this offseason. Got 2 new coordinators here as well, Gus Malzahn, Tony White. Got a good-sized transfer class. To Norvell's credit, he knew he needed to make some wholesale changes, if only for appearances. And it seems like there's a lot of optimism. It's only July, but it seems like there's a lot of optimism that the pieces that he has assembled are the right pieces, and they feel like they're poised to take a big step forward. They can't get back. They can't get any worse, okay? They can't take a step backwards. He'd be fired by week 3 if that were the case.
Right.
Where are you at on Florida State?
I think they have the potential to be, and I don't say this because of what Tom Castellanos.
Well, okay.
Tommy Castellanos?
Pause.
Okay.
It was Thomas Castellanos. Then somebody updated the database out there.
Uh-huh.
And now every site has Tommy Castellanos.
I'm good with it.
Call yourself whatever you want. I don't care. We've dealt with this before in college football. We've talked often about the infamous Monte ball transition. That was a journey for all of us.
I agree.
I am just going to completely zag. As I said 2 episodes ago, I'm calling him Big Tom Callahan.
You kidding? Go get him, Tom!
Here's what I kind of love about the move to Tommy, if I may derail this Florida State preview.
By all means.
Just for a moment. I don't have the data to support this.
These are always the best takes.
Is there a better folk hero college football first name than Tommy?
No.
Tommy Vardell?
Yeah.
Well, because you get touchdown Tommy, right?
Sure.
Tommy Armstrong? Who am I missing? Tommy DeVito?
Tommy DeVito.
Tommy Cutlets?
Yeah.
There is a lot of... I mean, who am I... So, yeah, I'm seeing on ESPN right now, Tommy Castellanos.
They changed it. I don't know when they changed it. I'm going to have to use the Wayback Machine to find out exactly when this database got updated.
Right. I don't know, man. I think there's, we've had some Joeys, Galloway, Harringtons, the like Billies. Tommy's pretty up there in terms of I think going from Thomas to Tommy made Florida State at least 1.5 games better.
Fair enough. I mean,
they have the opportunity, Florida State, this season, when you look at their schedule, when you look at the hopes and desires and passions. By the way, Hopes, Desires, and Passions was part of our Skinamax show last season.
Yep.
They have the ability to be weird little stinkers this year.
Florida State
really do.
Weird little
Florida
stinkers.
State does, absolutely. Running an annoying offense, bringing in random, you don't have a full concept of what the defensive transfers are going to be. If they're well coached with new coordinators, they could be weird little stinkers at 7-5.
It goes without saying that this is a high stakes situation for
Of
Norvell
course.
and Florida State.
And I don't know if 7-5 keeps Mike Norvell around Tallahassee, but weird little stinkers.
I think he's got to get to 8.
Probably.
I think he's got to go 8-4. And this is not a schedule doing him any favors. They opened the season with Alabama. They've got Miami. They got Pitt. They're at Clemson. They're at Florida. All those teams are on the schedule. It's going to be tough to hit that 8 win total if, in fact, that is a threshold. Again, I'll come back to what I said at the top when I was talking about NC State.
Right.
I don't know if this is a situation where you can just snap your fingers and fix everything that led to a 2-10 season. You know, you go out, you hire Gus Malzahn. It's a big deal. It's a big name. This offense was 115th in the country per the SP Plus last season. So they got to fix that. They went out, they got an offensive guy. I get it.
And they hired dear friend of the Solid Verbal, Herb Hand, to run the
Herb
offensive
Hand
line.
running the
Did they
offensive
not?
line.
Yeah.
We like Tony White. Like, there's a lot here. I will say this. I do like the pairing of Big Tom Callahan and Gus Malzahn.
I knew you would. Yeah.
I do. He's 10 stories high if he's a foot.
Yeah.
But Gus recruited him out of high school. He started his career with Gus. Ran for 1,000 yards 2 years ago. They went hard at offensive line in the portal. So provided somebody can step up at running back, could be a nice little rushing attack. They will play some teams that can bottle up the run. I'm curious to see what happens then. Because Big Tom will tell you he's a playmaker. I love that part of his game.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I want to lean on him to drop back and throw it 30 times for playing in Death Valley.
Right.
So that part of it is a little bit uncertain to me. I do wonder about the rebuilt line, if it can stay healthy, if the offense skews a little bit more towards the run or whatever. We'll find all that out in time. Deuce Robinson, Squirrel White were two really big transfers that Florida State added to help bolster the wide receiver room. How often they use them and what capacity they use them remains to be seen to me. But I don't hate that pairing with Malzahn. And I like the Tony White move too. We really like Tony White.
We really like Tony White.
May surprise you to hear that he likes more of an aggressive approach on defense, I'd say.
Of course.
But they've got a solid grouping there. I'm not sure there are any gravitational players, not anybody who's single-handedly going to blow up a game plan, but it's also not an easy defense to install.
No Derwin James on this 2 deep.
No, and so it's like the combination of maybe not having the star power with also not installing a particularly easy defense to pick up in, the fall.
Mm-hmm.
Alabama minus 12.5 week 1 feels like a decent bet to me, but I don't want to sell Florida State short. I just think
I'll have a new quarterback.
I know. It's just it's a lot to ask in week 1 going up against a team like in Alabama.
I agree.
What's Florida State going to do this year? What's their record in your view?
I would have them at 7-5. I'm not fully sold on Castellanos, Malzahn at this stage of each of their careers. I know there's a lot of conversation around. He's like a Nick Marshall, like you said on our big picture thing. Like he's a Malzahn quarterback. Like, I don't know, Malzahn quarterbacks that have like actually had a lot of success are really good throwing the ball. Nick Marshall is underrated as a thrower. I don't know. I'd like to see it before fully believing it in July. I think there's just too many new pieces. I'm in that 7-5 weird little stinker zone.
Speaking of weird little stinkers, let's talk about Syracuse Orange.
Okay.
10-3 last year, Dan.
10-3. We believe.
I said it during one of our G5 episodes. I'll say it again here. Syracuse is the inkblot test of the ACC. Because I think how you interpret this team, how you interpret this roster, the schedule, the culture, says a lot more about you, beloved Verballer, than it does about Syracuse. There is a flaw here, though.
I kind of have a problem with your hair. It's bothering me.
They lose a ton. A ton. They are worse at every offensive position. They lose 7 of their top 10 tacklers. The schedule's a lot harder. You can call it a rebuilding year, a transition year, a year 1.5, whatever nomenclature you are comfortable with, Dan. This is not as good a team as it was a year ago. Full stop. That doesn't mean they won't get back to bowl eligibility. That doesn't mean they won't hit their over of 5.5. But it's worth noting, amid all of the hype and all the steam around the Franimal, who we love on this show, I'm a little bit leery here.
Are you suggesting that the ACC is indeed ready for Steve Angeli?
Oh, I don't think anybody's ready for Angeli.
Okay. For this jelly, yeah.
We got to get that sound queued up for this year.
Yes, of course.
It is going to be Steve. I think it's going to be Steve Angeli. I think it has to be.
Now Ricky Collins, yeah.
You
don't bring in a quarterback post spring ball
No.
if you feel a potential starting quarterback, a high profile potential starting quarterback if you feel good about your room. I agree.
I think it's going to be Angeli. I think the comp he's not as good as McCord, but he's the same type of quarterback as a Kyle McCord. It's similar enough in that they're traditional pocket guys. you're not going to really put him on the run. He can move, but I think the best of him is as a pocket passer. He's shown poise for Notre Dame. He seems to be a great leader. The players around
came right in that big game last year against Penn State. Yeah,
he was unfazed by that. The players around him definitely responded to him being on the field, and that was true most of the time when he was on the field for Notre Dame.
You should also know, just file this away. If at any point CJ Carr struggles in the first month of the season, Ty is going to reach out and through back channels try and find Steve Angeli's uncle or something. He is going to pull his hair out wondering why Notre Dame let Steve Angeli go. Perhaps nothing will happen. Perhaps CJ Carr will be excellent from the jump. But that's what Ty will do because he knows Steve Angeli is pretty good.
Steve Angeli's all right. I mean, I don't think Steve Angeli, if he had his way about things, would have ever left Notre Dame. But I also understand that dude wants to play.
Did he not lead them to a Sun Bowl crown? Continue.
The schedule is murder for Syracuse.
It's very tough.
I mean, it looks to me like they're going to get pushed around trying to stop the run. So if you're a Syracuse fan, I'd say prepare to live this year because you're going to get to watch games against Tennessee, Clemson, SMU, Georgia Tech, Miami, and Notre Dame. Also,
Great.
Duke and North Carolina, both on this thing. Pretty good chance they're dogs in all 7 of those games that I listed. Mm-hmm. I don't think the Franimals going 0-7 against them. I think he will find a way to win a couple. But it's a much harder schedule than it was a year ago. I like Fran Brown. I really do. He brings serious good vibes to that program, but it was a really nice schedule last season. And it wasn't surprising, not to me, not to you, that year 1 was successful. I think we were pretty high on the Cuse, but a 10-3 year in year 1 is not something that they're going to be able to replicate. You can build on that.
Right.
But I don't think they're going to be able to replicate it. I've got them going like 7-5.
No, this was a top 15 offense in the country last year in year 1. Offense is going to take a step back. Defense wasn't even that good last year. So I guess the defense with a bunch of new transfers, especially up front, right?
Yeah.
Coming in, actually not a bunch, but new starters.
Sure.
It's just going to take time against the schedule. That said, our dear friend Fran Brown, to whom we've never spoken, would argue that those teams have to play Syracuse.
No.
That this is a team that gets up. This is a team that gets, playing hard. It's just too many new faces on both sides. They lose their number 1 receiver or their returning leading receiver. He transferred. Trevor Payne went to Penn State, correct?
Yep.
And so, yeah, I think it's going to be an adjustment year. I think if they make a bowl this season, that's a pretty successful run through 2025. But they just got dealt, it appears, a pretty tough hand schedule-wise. And hopefully, look, the momentum is there. They've been recruiting really well. I like everything about this program except for the week after week after week nature of what lays ahead.
We got 3 teams left, Dan.
All right, who do we have?
Next up is Boston College.
Okay.
Interesting little side note here to go full kimono. I started my research in the ACC with Boston College, not just out of alphabetical order or anything, but because I was genuinely interested in BC. Their over-under is 5.5. Last year, 7-6. I think year 1 was pretty good for Bill O'Brien. Would you agree with that?
Of course I do. Yes.
I think a 7-6 season with a couple close losses and
including to what, Mizzou?
Mizzou 20.
Mizzou is winnable.
27-21. They lost at Mizzou.
Mm-hmm.
They also lost to Virginia Tech, Louisville, at SMU,
close. Yeah,
Nebraska in the Pinstripe Bowl and that Mud Bowl that they played. In general, I think it was a pretty good campaign. So I think in that sense, there's a healthy amount of heat on Boston College if we want to revert back to the theme we've been going with here. In general, I think there's a sense that Bill O'Brien knows what he's doing.
Right.
Knows how to get the most out of a roster. As we know, if you're a mid-tier ACC team, the roster is always kind of in flux. There's always an open question somewhere. And that's definitely true for Boston College this year. But they didn't get creamed too badly in the transfer portal. Actually, I think the combination of what they're bringing in with what they're bringing back really makes for a compelling storyline this year. So I'm kind of in on Boston College. I have a lot more to say on Boston College, but I'll stop here. I'll pause here and give you a chance to reflect on what I just said.
Do you know who their running backs coach is?
I don't.
Savon Huggins, if you want to feel urgent.
No!
I think New Jersey running back legend.
Oh, how old are we? How old are you?
Yeah, it's true.
Jeez.
Continue.
All right. Tommy Castellanos, i.e. Big Tom Callahan. He's gone. He went to Florida State. Doesn't matter. He kind of had a falling out with B.O.B. anyway.
Yeah.
And Grayson James took over. He was perfectly fine. Offseason, they went out and they got Dylan Lonergan. Lonergan.
I think it's Lonergan.
From Alabama.
I don't know. Yeah.
Penn Staters probably recognize that name, even if I can't say it, because his dad, also a noted Dan, was the backup for Todd Blackledge back in the day, in the early 80s. So Dylan,
Gotcha.
4-star prospect, class of 23. Seems to me like it's his job to lose, but he's a redshirt sophomore. He's got 8 career passing attempts at the college level. So, your mileage may vary here on how long it takes for him to click. The skill talent around him, I think, is intriguing. It's the point in the show where I have to mention that Boston College has a running back named Turbo Richard.
Of course.
They don't call you Turbo unless you run like a blazing 40. He was hurt for 5 games last season. When he was healthy, he showed he can be really explosive. Likewise, they've got Jordan McDonald. He was close to 7 yards a carry. In theory, this is what I'm saying. The rushing attack could be fun.
Okay.
It could be fun. And your dream of there being a James Bond connection does still live. We need Grayson.
It's still alive.
We need Grayson James to play and Lewis Bond to be out wide, but the James Bond connection could be there. They got some options out wide as well. I like the back 7 of the defense. I think they'll be solid. 2 linebackers are back, as well as an entire defensive backfield. So this is a team that's got enough back, I think, to be dangerous. The wet blanket here is the offensive line is going to take a step back. They lose a lot. And on the defensive side, they lose a guy like Donovan Ezeraku.
Yeah, very disruptive. The dry blanket, though, is Boston College always randomly has 3 first-round offensive linemen.
Always. So
shout out Anthony Costanzo? Is that the name I'm looking for?
Costanzo. Yeah.
Okay, continue.
Schedule is murder.
Yeah, there's a stretch that's real tricky. It's sort of like mid-October to late November.
Listen, the only winner in this conversation is the Boston College season ticket holder, who's going to get to see Clemson, Notre Dame, and SMU all play at Alumni Stadium.
Amazing.
We have seen those teams lose in Chestnut Hill, by the way.
Notre Dame is done ducking Boston College?
They're done. They're playing them.
Okay.
Situationally, Clemson is at Boston College before hosting SMU, so maybe a little bit of a look ahead. SMU goes to BC a week after hosting Miami on homecoming, so maybe a little bit of a letdown. Boston College is going to be a home dog against all 3 of those teams I mentioned. The question is, can they pull an upset over one of them? Because
Are they your weird little stinker, Ty?
There's weird little stinker potential.
Okay, I like it.
There is. If they pull one of those upset, it changes the conversation in the conference, maybe with respect to the college football playoffs. So even outside of those teams, and those are just the headliners, there just aren't any breaks on this thing outside of maybe the last 3 weeks of September. So it's a tough schedule, but I like Bill O'Brien. So I've got BC down for like 6-6.
Yeah, I think they can compete for a bowl. Absolutely. 6-6 sounds about right.
California.
Before we go on to Cal, if you're going for a run right now, if you're washing your dishes right now, if you're cleaning your house right now, good for you. Doing those unseen little things to improve your day. Keep running hard. Finish those dishes up. You're going to get through them quicker than you think. And thank you for picking up your house, even if nobody is saying thank you. You are doing it. Okay,
killing it.
Go on to Cal. Killing it.
California, the state of your birth, I believe.
Yeah.
You were born in California, right?
I was born in California. Nowhere near Berkeley, but born in California.
This is a 6-7 team a year ago. They got a 5.5 over under. They did beat Auburn in week 2.
Yep.
Lost at Florida State. Should have beaten Miami at home. Lost at Pitt, NC State, Cuse, at SMU, UNLV in the bowl game. There were 7 losses. I think I counted them all out. It was a full range of emotions last season if you were a Cal football fan. Because you had the social media memes.
Yeah.
Calgorithm. Then you had the frustration of losing a bunch of close games. So, with that now in the rearview mirror, Brian Harsin made some changes. Brian Harsin was part of the changes that Justin Wilcox made. Do we feel any better about Cal despite the fact that there are mass changes and on top of it, the ultimate dagger was losing Jaden Ott in the transfer portal in the spring?
It was both running backs, right? They had the really good duo.
Yeah.
Was it Jaden? No. Who was the other Cal running back? You can look that up while I figure this out. I don't feel great about Cal. I don't feel all that great about Cal. I like that they were, it seems, much more active in the portal than normal. They're active as a program, hiring new coaches, hiring a new GM. Like, obviously, this is looked at as a season that needs to be dramatically better, that they need to finish games, that they can't just be like a fun program online, that they need to win these close games.
Yeah.
So I don't feel great about Cal because the obvious nature of who is leading them to these wins is still pretty up in the air to me. And with, the defense took a nice step forward last year. The offense was okay at times, but they couldn't really put it together for 4 quarters consistently. So it's hard to see how this program, without a couple of pretty incredible recruiting and portal classes, can get to like an 8-9 win level.
Yeah.
It just hasn't been at that level ever under Justin Wilcox with any sort of consistency. So like, I don't see it. Do you see anything here?
I think the best way to depict this season of Cal football is that meme of the dog drinking coffee in the burning room with this is fine.
Everything's fine. Yeah, this is fine.
Because we've got a philosophical shift on offense. We've got a
schedule's fine.
Schedule's okay. But we've got the shift on offense. We've got a head coach who's very much on the hot seat, has to be feeling the pressure. We got a roster that got crushed by the portal and was sort of rebuilt on the fly. We've got a quarterback competition, an open question of how to fix a line that gave up 50 sacks last season.
Yeah.
There's a lot working against them, but the schedule is fine. Despite all of that, the over-under is 5.5, which isn't horrible. You can do worse than that. So there's no Clemson, no Duke, there's no Clemson, no Miami, no Florida State. Duke and North Carolina and SMU all have to travel out west.
Great.
This looks to me like the kind of season that either gets Justin Wilcox a contract extension or it gets him fired by week 8. I don't think there's any in between here. It's like a high wire act. To quote the wise prophet Maximus Decimus Meridius,
okay,
are you not entertained?
So Justin Wilcox, very good against non-conference, and weirdly enough to say, it includes Oregon State for Cal as a non-conference game, and Minnesota and San Diego State. Like, this could be a Cal team if they are fine. If the transfers work out, if quarterbacks works out, if it's Devin Brown, if it's the freshman, you are the one who practiced this freshman's name. JKS.
You got to give me a chance to work up to it.
JK Sangapolutelli.
It's Jaron Keave.
Okay.
Sangapulutelli. Jaron Keave?
Yeah.
Sangapulutelli. I've got it written phonetically like 8 times on my sheet here.
So he enrolled early at Oregon after flipping his commitment, went through Rose Bowl practices ahead of Oregon, Ohio State, was, the 4th string quarterback or whatever, not really, but was on the roster as an enrolled freshman, not eligible to play against Ohio State. They went through the Rose Bowl. Oregon got destroyed. And then he was like, nah, I'm good. I'm going to Cal. And now he's at Cal, to whom he was committed forever. This Cal team, by the way, if quarterback is fine, if receiver is fine, and they have the experience up front, at their best, 5-1 and 6-0 is not just bonkers out of this universe, given the schedule.
No, I mean,
I think Minnesota's tough. I haven't done a deep dive on the Gophers yet. I think we both like BC fine, especially Cal traveling across the country. I like Duke, but that game is in Berkeley. I don't know. There's no obvious they're starting 3-3. I don't know.
What I jotted down is that there's a pretty good chance it doesn't click, but there's also a pretty good chance that it's not a total catastrophe, that it's somewhere in the middle, because somewhere in the middle has been, I think, where this program's been at with Justin Wilcox. If it continues just treading water, that's, in all likelihood, the most likely outcome of all this, even though there's so much new.
Yeah, if they go 7-5, I don't know if he's the coach next year.
No. I don't think so either.
Honestly, the Cal job seems so impossible that he could be let go and immediately become a $2.5 million defensive coordinator somewhere.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. I wouldn't bet on them going over 5.5 because there's so much new. I'm not sold that they're going to fix the line. I don't think they've got the skill talent to overcome some deficiencies up front. And also, like, this is about to be year 9 of Justin Wilcox. His best seasons were 6 years ago when he went 7-5.
Right.
You know, on some level, you do have to ask the question now with all this turnover, with some of these moves, which frankly feel like they're out of desperation. Can he turn it around now, this late in the game? We've seen coaches do it. I don't know. My actual question here with Cal is whether the schedule is going to be advantageous enough to them to paper over some of the other issues with the team. And
I agree.
I guess my more diabolical question with respect to Cal is whether Duke, North Carolina, or SMU are going to go out west and lose, because all three have to travel out there. Like, if they take one of those teams down, that could be a different conversation here. But I'm still not fully sold on that over 5.5. I wouldn't want to put my money to it.
Okay, fair enough.
Virginia. Virginia's our final team. I incorrectly called them the Commodores. I don't know why.
Because you're rude.
They are the Cavaliers. They basically
the
got
Who's.
They got smoked by everybody last year, with the exception of the 5 games they won and that close home loss against Louisville. You and I, we often refer to the Athlon preview. I mentioned this quote on our ACC overview show.
By the way, I've taken to calling it the Bathlon because that's where it resides.
The Bathlon?
Right
Perfect.
next to my toilet. It's the best.
That's perfect. The zinger here, and I won't read the full quote, was some anonymous coach said that Virginia is never really a team you worry about playing because they lack discipline. They have no real identity.
Okay.
So I think despite the brutal honesty, Vegas is actually pretty high on Virginia. They've got the win total at 6.5. That's according to DraftKings. It's year 4 for Tony Elliott. 2 3-win seasons. He won 5 last year. If he goes to a bowl this year, I don't think they're getting rid of him. If he doesn't, then I think it's a different conversation. I think they got better. I think they got deeper via the portal. Took on 31 transfers. It's a surge of talent. It's a big deal. And I think the depth that they added is probably a bigger story with how injured they've been over the last couple of years. So the vibes are actually pretty good going into this season. Chandler Morris is going to be the quarterback. He's the guy who transfers up from North Texas. We've heard Chandler Morris's name
via Oklahoma and TCU as well.
We've heard Chandler Morris's name now for 4 years. He's better than what they had. But this is also a different system than the air raid that he's been running elsewhere. So how he adapts to that will be really interesting to see. Should be deeper at running back along the line. They brought over your boy, big number 83, Jaden Thomas from Notre Dame, after losing Malachi Fields to Notre Dame. So a bit of a trade there. They were very targeted in how they used the portal on defense to try and give a boost to the line there and the secondary. They really went for it in the secondary, which they absolutely needed to fix.
They desperately needed,
Yeah. So what I found in my research, surprisingly so, is that of the guys they targeted, tended to be more guys with an aggressive attacking mentality, guys that could help with the pass rush, that type of thing. It's just a lot new. You know, this is kind of a recurring theme now in the year of our Lord 2025. There's a lot new. Have we seen the track record for Tony Elliott thus far, where we've got confidence in him bringing all this together and taking a big step forward after 3 years on the job? Do we feel confident in that? Do we feel confident?
If there are better players on this too deep, sure. It might just be a Jimmy and Joe situation. If their secondary is only underwhelming, that's a big improvement from where they were last year. One of the best exercises you could have done last year was play receiver against this Virginia secondary.
My God, they were terrible.
Yeah.
They're horrible.
So, I don't know. I don't feel great about Virginia. I like the aggression that they're operating with, but I just, going into a season, if you're going to feel good about a team making a bowl, going 8-4, something like that, having a major turnaround or a major jump, to me, there has to be something proven on the roster specifically. And I like Chandler Morris as a quarterback. I think if the offensive line is any good, they might be able to run a decent enough offense. But against what is their schedule is pretty easy, right? It's the easiest in the conference, I believe.
Right.
Even then, like, they're going to be giving up 28-30 a game, something like that. I guess if they're a team that you feel confident in for whatever reason, that they're going to win a bunch of 50-50 games, sure, they're going to go 6-6, 7-5. But even then, even against this schedule, I don't feel great. Just a talent level thing to me.
It's talent. It's taking advantage of a schedule. Again, they missed both Clemson and Miami and SMU.
And SMU. Yeah.
And SMU. Floor looks like 4-8. Can they manage 2 to 4 more wins to get to a bowl? Can they get to 8 wins against this? If they have 8 wins, it's a revelation, given where the program's been. I don't see it.
Well, NC State's going to be in a brawl the week they play against Virginia. The week before they play against Virginia.
Correct.
So there's that.
Yep.
So now you're looking for, with Virginia, Stanford at home, you're looking pretty good there. The week before, Florida State has Virginia on the road, which I think is a Friday night. So it's a short week road for Florida State after the worst FBS program in America and Kent State. That's what Florida State has. And then Virginia has, I don't know who Wazoo has the week before them. Louisville has Pitt on the road, your dear Pitt Panthers.
Love Pitt.
So that's weird little stinker potential.
Yep.
North Carolina is traveling across the country to play against Cal the week before Virginia. Weird little stinker potential.
You like that. That's going to
Wake
be your
Forest,
new thing, isn't it? That's going to be on a shirt someday.
Some weird little stinker.
Yeah.
I don't think people are going to love wearing that shirt.
It'd be a good baby thing.
I digress. Duke has UConn the week before, but it's on the road. Who knows? And Virginia Tech the week before they play Virginia has Miami. So, I don't know. Maybe they're a little gumpy.
There is some weird little stinker potential here with Virginia.
Yeah.
I'll give you that. I'll give you that. I'm not putting my money.
But you're banking on a lot there.
Yeah, I'm not putting my money on over 6.5, but you can at least chart that course.
Yeah. You can squint if a lot of these transfers on defense work out. Sure.
The Virginia Cavaliers.
The Who's.
For those playing along at home. All right, that does it for the ACC, my friend. We have gone through all 17 teams in somewhat painstaking detail. We encourage you all to hit us up, solidverbal@gmail.com. Let us know where we're right, where we're wrong. Don't be a jerk about it. We're going to be wrong about some stuff. You're always going to know your team better than us, but we're doing our part here to keep everybody entertained as much as possible and give you reasons to feel entertained about the ACC. This coming year, it's going to be an entertaining conference. There's just no two ways about it. I'm excited to see how this thing shakes out. I have seen a fair amount of disparity in looking across all of these previews and all of these YouTube videos that I have been watching to prepare for these episodes. Doesn't seem to be a set order of finish in the ACC. Got a pretty good idea for who's going to be at the top, but after maybe the top 4 or 5 teams, it's a big old hodgepodge, and I think that's going to make it pretty fun.
Little sidebar here. You know what I think about when I think about the ACC right now? I think about we're doing our live stream, which we're going to be doing at 12 Eastern every Saturday night after all the action. And I think about random ACC games ending that aren't necessarily nationally consequential, right? It'll be, like SMU Duke went late and stuff like that, where nobody feels a lot of animus for the ACC, really, I guess, other than Florida State and Clemson boosters.
That's right. That's right.
But there is something about like one of those games ending in a weird way, North Carolina, Wake Forest, and then right after on the field is Taylor Tannenbaum and EJ Manuel trying to make sense of it all. And I'm just sort of charmed. Like, I like their show. Nobody like hates the ACC like they do the Big Ten or the SEC. I like that there's just weird, like not nationally consequential emotion happening after those games. But I kind of like the ACC vibes right now. I don't know how to explain it. I'm in on ACC vibes.
Well, the ACC's been able to like hold itself together, and they brought in some reinforcements, however odd it might be geographically speaking.
Right.
But they brought on some reinforcements to try and make sure that the conference could exist if they had teams leave, which could still be the case at some point in the future. But they forced it down everybody's throat to take this deal where they're going to pay out more to the most popular teams. I'm sure there are plenty of reasons not to like that if you're a school like Wake Forest, but they have just been doing enough to get by. They have just been doing enough to survive. And interestingly enough, when I compared the ACC last year to the ACC this year, I think this year is infinitely more interesting. Infinitely more interesting. Last year, the big story for sure coming out of it was Florida State going 2-10.
Right.
That was a disaster. Maybe Miami missing the playoff, but certainly what Clemson did, SMU getting in, like that was an interesting story in its own right. But Florida State dropping in the manner that they did was like a huge surprise across college football.
I agree.
This year, I just look across this conference and I feel so much differently about it. I just think there are so many teams with potential. There are a bunch of teams, again, in the tier that we talked about today that how are you supposed to handicap some of these teams? I have no idea. So that makes it interesting. That gives us a reason to watch, maybe in the throes of the season when there's no other game on in a weird 3:30 window.
Yeah.
The ACC is going to keep it real.
I'm in. Here's your final question, Ty. You ready?
Yes, computer.
Power Conference football. Oh, it's still going. Power Conference football features 4 head coach Brents. Who are they?
Brents. There's a
Yes.
Brent Pry. There's a Brent Brennan.
Mm-hmm.
Brent
Pry? Brent Brennan?
Tell me the other two. I don't want this to be terrible.
There's
rating.
another one in the ACC. The ACC is dominating the market on head coach Brents.
Brent Key.
Brent Key.
Yeah.
The 4th is a hot seat coach in the SEC. Potential hot seat coach. We'll see.
Come
on, Ty. New to the SEC. How about that?
New to the SEC. Oh, Brent Venables.
Brent Venables.
Yeah.
I give you right now on October 11th in Atlanta, we've got Brentertainment. Brent Key against Brent Pry to decide the king of the Brents. Okay, that's it. They have 50% of college football's Brent coaches. I'm spitting all over my mic.
Brentertainment. Beautiful.
Brentertainment, October 11th, Atlanta, Georgia, Bobby Dodd Stadium.
Hit
ACC
follow,
Network. Be
hit
there.
subscribe so you don't miss any of our episodes. Go to verballers.com if you want to further support what Dan and I do.
Yeah.
For that guy over there, Dan, for myself, Ty, thanks for bearing with us. Big 12 coming up next. We'll talk to you then. In the meantime, as always, stay solid.
Peace.